It is 8 degrees outside right now with like a high of 10 and a low of 2. Trying to keep the garage warm enough to at least get the transmission out today. It's cold in here still. We'll see how far we get. I'm going to do my best to make it kind of a step-by-step if that's what you're looking for, because you never pulled a transmission. But still pretty bad at this, so we'll see how I do.
Why do I feel like somebody's watching me?
Drop the exhaust. Then I'll undo the 14mm bolts of the drive shaft. The two 17mm bolts at the drive shaft bearing, or Guibo bearing if you're familiar with BMWs. We'll take the drive shaft out of the transmission. I have a plug, an old drive shaft stub that I'll slide in to keep all the oil from coming out. We need to replace the seal, that's the tail seal that's in there. And a couple of others to see if we can get this thing a little cleaner. Once the drive shaft's out, we'll break loose 19s. You can tell some of these have been replaced. And then break loose the bell housing bolts, remove the slave cylinder, undo the harness, and then we will pull the transmission out. So, 4 bolts out from the differential pinion, 2 support bolts out for the drive shaft bearing. About ready to slide this guy out. And from an old drive shaft, I just cut the nose off here. Boom, now I got a plug for it. Whenever you pull the transmission, it spills all the fluid, especially if you run the expensive transmission fluid. I run a Redline MT90, which is like, I don't know if it's like 13 or 15 bucks a quart. It's not cheap. And it takes two or 2.5 quarts of transmission fluid. So I don't like wasting it if I can help it. It's only got a year on it, so pull the drive shaft. I can put the plug in so I don't lose anything. It's a lot less messy that way. Drive shaft's out. Got our 219s loose, and these are, I had to change the thread to a standard on these because they were both stripped when I got the car. Somebody had swapped it, messed the threads up. So those are actually 16mm heads. Pretty sure I did whatever the next closest thread size, so it's probably a standard now. But so what I do the last two will be the 212s that I had in here just to pull the steel off. Transmission mount off. I got the 2.2 loose for the slave. I'm gonna pop off the line, so it's got the plug in it. And then get a jack in, or I'll loosen up all the bell housing bolts and move the 2 plates on the bottom. Then put a jack underneath it, take all the bolts out, and then I'll wiggle underneath it, drop it on my chest, and roll out from underneath the car. So I got all the bell housing bolts out. There's one top center about 12 o'clock. It's hard to get to, but she's there. There, here. You see all the ones towards the bottom. So pretty easy to get at. So it's the 12 o'clock one is right there again. No freaking glove. Right there. The top boy, which a lot of people won't put back in because it's a pain to get to. I still run it. And there's one there and one there. Those two are for the starter. You pull the starter out. And then one here and then along the bottom again. And on the interior, grab the light. You'll have 4 bolts. 4 bolts for the rubber shift boot. My bolts were up, I'm going to order a new one. I also ran my wideband wire through it. And then this guy will be zip tied on if you still have it. Most people don't. So they get torn and nobody buys a new one. And then a snap ring down in there so you can pull the shifter. Oh. lot of people forget to pull the shifter. It's fun to find that one out when you have the transmission sitting on your chest and you can't quite get it out. So, don't forget that guy. But now that we got all that stuff pulled, we ready to drop the transmission. See how it goes. See, got some oil around here. Probably coming from the back of the oil pan when I pulled it and put the I redid the turbo drain line on it because it was just JB welded in and I wanted to have a welded fitting. I used cheaper silicone than I should have from Harbor Freight. So tech tip, don't do that. Go spend a couple extra bucks more from Tex Gray, which is what the new motor's built with. Take the clutch out and see how it's doing. It's alright. It's a bit of a hybrid clutch setup, that's for sure. RPS, pressure plate, which I haven't heard of them in forever. And I have the disc. But the disc is a 4-puck, unsprung disc, which can be really hard on the input shaft when you clutch kick stuff. It doesn't absorb any kind of shock load. So I used a D21 pickup truck disc that I had from this KA swap when I bought it that was slipping. It was just starting to slip at like, it was probably making, I don't know, 220 or so. But I know this RPS pressure plate has a ton more clamping force. The D21 disc is bigger than like a 240 disc, the same size as SR20 clutch, which is what the pressure plate's from. So it's got a 240mm disc, which is the same as what it ran with, but it's a full face, you know, factory organic, sprung center section, you know, nice and cushy, so try to make the transmissions last a little bit longer. We got the pressure plate and the clutch disc off, and this is what she looks like. Looks really good actually. A couple very light hot spots, but really not much. This was a brand new flywheel. It's just a XTD flywheel. Now it is I think it's a 12.5 pound flywheel. It's for a RB20. That's just one of the ones off eBay. Because it's like if you do the D21, the white bunny clutch swap, you go get one of those flywheels from like AutoZone or O'Reilly or something, like 60 bucks, but they weigh a ton. I think the factory flywheel is somewhere like 20-ish, 22. If I remember correctly, the truck flywheel, the D21 flywheel, is like 27 or 28, which for a truck, okay, you know, you're pulling stuff, the rotating mass makes it easier to drive, makes it easier to take off everything else, but I remember I ran that setup on one of my last cars, and you could feel it, like just the way the engine revved and everything slowed down, and I didn't like it very much. I was going to go the other way this time, buy the RB20 flywheel, and then you can run a 350Z clutch, D21 clutch, 300ZX, I think it's an NA C32 300ZX clutch. Now I was really annoyed. I don't know if anyone's ever run an SR pressure plate, but it just barely didn't fit the pins, so I might have cut those off. Retrospect, really bad idea, like really bad. You got something spinning, you know, close to 7,000 RPMs, If it's just a little bit off center, she won't be happy, so don't do that. I regretted doing it the second I did it. I should have taken the pressure plate and just had the whole machined a little bit, assuming that's what it was, or just had a, I don't know, you shouldn't do that, don't do that. But flywheel looks great, didn't have any issues. You can see where I had, must have been oil from either the pilot bushing, or, I'm sure I put Loctite on these guys, but you see a little bit of grease right that's going to start to run its way out. That's why you don't want to put greaser oil, or an excessive amount of greaser oil on either the splines, the input shaft, or the pilot bushing, anything like that, because if you do too much and it runs out, when stuff starts to spin, it's going to go outward, and it's going to get into your clutch. So I got lucky that it wasn't very much, and it stopped before it actually got out to anything. But yeah, everything looks pretty good. I think a 350Z disc would have fit this a little bit better. You can see there's about 10 mil or so on the outside edge it's not using. So, because a 350Z disc is 250 millimeter, the D21 SR20 discs are 240 millimeters, and a KA disc is 225 millimeters. So you're gaining up in space. You're gaining surface area with your clutch disc and all your friction material and everything else by doing a D21 flywheel or an RB20 flywheel on a KA. So you can get other discs for relatively cheap that'll, take a beating. I think last thing, we're going to go ahead and hit these with the rattle gun, see if it'll come off so I can pull the flywheel off the motor, and I think that'd be about it for today. Might pop off the fuel line, but that's it. Other than that, break loose the motor mounts and oil cooler lines, and she's ready to come out.